Hey friends, it's Cassie and welcome back for another Trinity Stamps video. Today I'm going to be sharing a peek with you. So what I'm sharing, the products will be available by the end of this week. But if you're watching this later, go check it out if you are interested in any of the things I'm going to show you. What we're starting with is a background, so none of this is new stuff. I just have some watercolor paper and I've got this cut down to I think it's 9 inches by, or 8.5 inches by 4 inches, and I am just working on a background. And I have some distress inks. That first color that I have, these are the distress spray stains. I've got Lucky Clover. Our next one was Cracked Pistachio, and then we're working with Shabby Shutters. My next one will be Speckled Egg, and then we're moving on to Dusty Concord. And all I'm doing is using a piece of acetate. I find that I get a lot more control doing it this way. And all you got to do is spritz a little bit on there, and then you can mash that around where you want. We have a good foundation, and if you've played with these kinds of things at all, you know you want to work in layers. So I'm going to heat set this so all that is kind of set, and then we're going to go back over using those exact same colors. This will add a lot of texture. And I'll even take the caps off of each of the colors and do a little bit of splatter too. It's fun, and I love the the look that you end up getting. There's just so much texture in there. And so like I said, I'm going to go through and I'm going to continue to do this with all of those colors. And I don't know where this idea for this color combo came in, but I'm really loving it, and it's going to give this really great Halloween vibe in my opinion. And this is just, like I said, a base, a background. We are going to add so many layers to it that it's going to get crazy. Speckled Egg, and then again with the Dusty Concord. And I felt like that color, the Dusty Concord, was quite overpowering. Or not necessarily overpowering, but it had the potential to be overpowering. So all I'm going to do is do a little bit of splatter with that one and not add as much texture to it. The next thing I want to do is bring in all of the ink cubes that I have for these and just blend using my blender buddies over the top of each of those colors. So that's the Speckled Egg that I'm just doing, kind of getting rid of some of that stark white in the background, and then it blends that even more. Moving on to the Dusty Concord, making sure that my edges are covered and all those center bits are covered as well. And then we'll do that for each of the other colors. This one is the Shabby Shutters. And then we'll come in with our Cracked Pistachio and finish it off with our Lucky Clover. And you'll see how it kind of subdues that white in the background. It's still there, doesn't get rid of it, but it just adds some of that color to the top. Then I will, of course, add a little water because these are water reactive. Wait a few seconds and then dab that up with my microfiber cloth. Heat set that in between, and then here is one of the first sneaks. So this is brand new. It is the Slimline Birch Stencil. It has 3 parts to it, and I am covering that with some Distress Oxide in the color Black Soot using my blender buddy. That Black Soot will cover that really nicely with it being the Distress Oxide. It's not opaque, which is what I was going for. So there's our first layer. And I did use Pixie Spray on the back of the stencil. As you'll see with some of those branches, those can be very delicate. And in order to make sure that that stays and it doesn't move as I'm blending, Pixie Spray was an absolute must. So I highly suggest that, and it keeps everything where it's supposed to be. And it's good stuff. So this is our second layer. We'll peel that back. Ooh, and I love it. You could stop there, but I'm going to come in with a third layer, and they get a little less detailed and a little bit smaller as you continue on, almost like it's in the background, which is nice. So you could even play up with these, doing different colors of trees, maybe have some like gray ones in the background so that it looks lighter way in the distance. But I just stuck with the Black Soot, and I'm loving how that looks. All right, our next thing would be to cut that out using a die. I did pull in the Slimline Modern Embossed panels, and that'll give like a little nice embossed edge all the way around that and give it a nice finished look. I'm going to heat set that because I do want to do a little bit of embossing, but I want to check it first because all those mediums were quite wet. And so I'm testing it, and you'll see all that embossing powder sticks to everything, and we don't want that. So I am going to sweep all that away, and then once it's all cleaned off, no more white powder, we're going to heat set this again, making sure that it's completely dry. And then once I am done making sure that that is completely dry, I'm going to cover this with my magic powder bag. That just adds a little bit of anti-static powder to it, and then I'll test it again. We are good there, so I'll add more. I'm going to test this other side because with all that work of making that background, the last thing you want is for it to get covered by embossing powder. All right, we'll put it in our MISTI. I have 3 stamps from the brand new Shake Your Bones stamp set. I'm going to ink that up with some Juicy Embossing ink by Ink on 3. I'll stamp those down. And this is watercolor paper, like I said, so I'm going to stamp it a couple times. I want to make sure that I have a good impression. And then I'll peel that out. I'm going to leave those in my MISTI just in case I need them. And then I'll cover that with that white embossing powder. And it looks good. It's staying where it's supposed to. There's no powder sticking where it's not. And if it does, I'll just grab a little tiny brush and wipe the excess away. And there's a couple spots, but otherwise, heat setting it and using that anti-static powder bag worked fabulously. All right, so then we're going to heat set this until that powder is smooth and melted. Once we've made sure that we're good and covered. I just love these little bones. They're so cute. Perfect. And then with that background, it just kind of looks fun and eerie at the same time. All right, I wanted to add one more layer, which you can do because I left this in my MISTI. So I'm going to use that magic powder bag again. And then I'll grab my Juicy Embossing ink, stamp that down right on top of what I've already stamped. And, you know, hopefully that'll make sure that I've got even better coverage with the embossing powder. So I'll cover that again. And then I'll heat set it again. So as long as you keep it in your MISTI, you can add as many layers as you need to. Just knowing that, it, you know, with each successive layer, you're going to lose some of the detail if you just kept going. All right, so I'm happy with that, but I do want to add some splatter because if there are some powder bits that did stick, this splatter that I'm going to do with the gold palette from Trinity Stamps will cover a multitude of mistakes. And then check it out. I'm going to show you up close all that gorgeous splatter. Oh, and it's nice and shiny and shimmery. For our base, I do have some purple cardstock from my stash that I cut down to 7 inches by 8.5 inches and scored at 3.5 inches. And then I have that same purple cardstock that I stamped another one of my skeletons and a couple of sentiments from. I did it this way rather than stamping right on the inside because when you do heat emboss on cardstock, it can warp. And with this being the card base, I just didn't want it to warp. So I'm just going to glue these down to the inside. I thought you might find this card humorous. That sentiment is hilarious. And then I will glue down my panel to my card base. And then I'll leave a nice little purple border. And then my final sentiment says Happy Halloween. So I'll glue that right on there as well. But you know, I couldn't stop there. I had to grab in some gems. And I have, this first one is the Extravagant Emerald. And I'm putting it over the greens. I love that. It is so pretty. It is this beautiful deep green. And then this next one I'm grabbing is the Melanite Magic. And I'll put a few of those down over like the blue and the purple. So it kind of goes gradually. But I love the shimmer, or not shimmer, but the shine, I guess, that these gems will leave. I've been obsessed with them. So there it is. There is our finished card. I do hope you liked it. And if you did, please hit that like button and consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. Like I said, these are products that are going to be released at the end of the week. So be sure to come back on Friday to check out the entire release. All right, thanks so much for stopping by, and we will see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.